From expert opinion, I'd like to go to the court of public opinion and see what the people are saying on the same subject matter. Let's get a sense of what the public expects to hear from the candidates during the campaign. Let's get their reaction.
As campaign begins, it's for them to come and tell us what they have for Nigerians. It's not for them to come and insult themselves.
I want them to identify the issues that may plaguing the common Nigerians and to, discuss objectively, how they intend, to deal with those issues.
You know Nigerian problems. Have you identified them? So what are the solutions? When you have problems, what are the likely solutions to those problems? You itemize it so that we know that you are coming with a solution.
I can say by next year or next week, I'll buy a Mercedes Benz for everybody resident in Abuja. It's a simple, police will not arrest me for making a statement. I have a right of speech. Is that also? I can say next week I will buy Mercedes Benz 450L for everybody resident in Abuja. That's what the people are doing. Anybody can make that statement. So if they are sincere, they should tell us how they want to buy the Mercedes. Where is the money? Do you have the money in the bank? How did you get the money?
We need Nigeria, how they can prove what the youth solve their problems. In fact, unemployment level, even not to go to school. There is this strike that's at school. That people with many youths are just establishing.
There are issues of insecurity, matter of kidnapping, and the rest of them. They should try and, as much as possible, also to work on that.
I want to educate the politicians. They should understand that running an election is equivalent to what? A job application.
What I just have to say is that they should just try and stop fighting, and they just focus on PDP should focus on PDP and APC should focus on APC, and they should try and make Nigeria a better place because youth are suffering.
Well, it's not just the PDP or the APC. It goes for all of the parties. I do have a guest joining me via Zoom to discuss some of what we've gleaned from this Vox Pop. Dr. Stephen Iroro Izu is a political economist and development expert. Welcome to Inside Doc. It's been a bit.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Good evening, Nigerians.
What are your some of your thoughts on some of these issues that members of the public are saying, going by some of what we just heard?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. It is very clear that Nigerians today are more conscious than Nigerians before now. More conscious in the sense that the Nigerians know what they want, from their leaders, and they are not ready to just get empty rhetorics or empty, assurances. So be that as it may, Nigerian political leaders to be, those vying for the 2023 general elections at all levels, must begin to, to come up with tangible, facts of what they want to do. I've always argued that leadership goes beyond just the political aspects. We must look at the economics of leadership. Now, when leaders are only talking about politics, it shows that somehow some of them may be bereft of ideas. So the economics of leadership must also be hammered on, which translate to development.
So, Doc, you throw these whole economics of leadership into the mix, and I get a sense that some Nigerians feel like they have experienced or are experiencing a psychological contract violation with unmet expectations and all that. Isn't that expected? Even when the least of expectations are met halfway, there would always be critics and hailers, I suppose.
Yes, of course. Nigerians perhaps feel this psychological dissatisfaction because political leadership is supposed to be the torchbearer of society, according to J.F. Kennedy. Now, bearing the torch means that everything that represents darkness, will be extinguished, will be eliminated. Darkness in the sense that you have poverty, you have ignorance, you have a political supply. Leadership is supposed to be in a position to ensure that these existential situations or problems that have been confronting the Nigerian state over a period of time, are done away with. So leaders who are coming to take up the mantle of leadership at all levels must understand the fact that Nigerians are beginning to experience, this frustration, aggression tendency because of previous, failures, of a past leaders.
Doc, let me borrow the words of Stephen Biko when he said, I would like to remind, and I would like to quote here, I quote, I would like to remind the black ministry and indeed all the black people that God is not in the habit of coming down from heaven to solve people's problem on earth. End of quote. If you put that against elections and governance in Nigeria, I mean, the people, you and I know that people are always praying, and they expect a miracle to happen. Isn't that part of the challenge? I mean, that Steve Biko highlighted, as against people taking their votes seriously, exercising their franchise, I mean, and electing a government that they can hold responsible, which in turn is answerable to them and also accountable as well to the people. So, and let me just ask you a pointed question. Do you think the people are the core problem that we have, or what? Because, like they say, people deserve the leaders or the leadership that they get, since the leaders do not come from outer space but amongst the people themselves.
Now, you must understand the fact that Nigerian citizens, we are not very difficult to lead, and we are not also very difficult to persuade. Nigerians are people that want to give you the benefit of the doubt. So it's not as if Nigerians are the creators of their own problems or the kind of leaders that have emerged. Nigerians have been cheated, defrauded, duped, by a few, who have taken for instance, their hospitality, their trust, for granted. But Nigerians are waking up to this reality, to say, no, enough is enough. Let us get the persons who have not just the capacity, but who have that fortitude, of heart, to lead us to the El Dorado that we have always wanted. So I would not want to blame the people, because they have only been cheated, on the basis of the trust that they bestowed on a few, people who have somehow, not lived up to the expectation of the trust, given to them. So I think that leaders, must begin to, Nigerians are beginning to see that their leaders must be people that are not just accessible, before elections, but people that will be accessible even after the elections. So and they are it all indications, shows that the Nigerians are towing that line of trying to remedy, this psychological blackmail on them, by previous administrations.
I truly hope so. I hope the level of consciousness, political consciousness and participation that we're seeing currently translates to, people actually participating in the polls, and we hope for greater and better things ahead. Dr. Stephen Izu, political economist and development expert, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on Insight.
Thank you very much. My pleasure, as always. Thank you.